I was very depressed. Being a super active person, not having it anymore, I'd given up hope at one point. I used to be a United States Navy explosive ordnance disposal technician, and I did that for about 9 years. I suffered some pretty significant spine injuries while I was on active duty. I had a buddy of mine jump off my shoulders, get over a wall, and not knowing at the time, all I know is I dropped to my knees. I'm like, oh my God, this hurts. So I got back up and we continued on with the op. And all this hanging on my neck, my back, and I've got, 60 pounds of water and explosives and food on my back, and I've got body armor and ammo. Anyways, all this, and I just remember pain. So I continued to operate with these guys with herniated disc at T5, T6, which then affected my cervical spine. And I ended up with a C5, C6, and then C6, C7 was bulged out to the point where it was actually resting on the spinal column. Didn't know any of this at the time. I just sat there, gritted my teeth, and I did it. And that kind of sums up a lot of why I'm messed up, is because I was stubborn and I was stupid, and I didn't ask for help when I probably should have. January 3rd, 2011 is when my left leg stopped working properly. I had to crawl to take a piss. I was stuck in a recliner for the majority of that year. I lived in some really significant pain levels with everything that was going on with my spine at the time. So they're going to give you anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxers, and painkillers. And each one of those, when you start taking them long enough and high enough doses, are going to lead to side effects, and they're going to give you more pills. So I think at one point I was up to like 13 basically end-of-life medications. You don't give this to a guy who's 30 years old. You give this to somebody who's old and decrepit and just trying to maintain a quality of life. I was never an addict, but to deal with the pain, it was either that or suffer. And the suffering wasn't alleviated that much by these things at this point. They had me seeing a psychiatrist for depression. Of course, the psychiatrist wants to prescribe pills. And at this point, I was so desperate, I was like, I'll take anything. You tell me if it'll help. If you tell me it'll lower the pain, I'll take it right now, okay? So this guy gives me a pill called Seroquel. It's an antidepressant pill. And it's a pretty aggressive one on that, but he says, hey, this might help you sleep. And I remember taking this pill, just being like, okay, maybe this will knock me out. I remember about 8:30 at night, that pill kicked in. And I remember, no matter where I've been in my life, no matter how hard the situations have been, there's always been like this light at the end of the tunnel. And for the first time in my life, that light went out. And all I saw was just despair and blackness, and I don't know if it had something to do with the pill or if it was a combination of that, but I've never thought about killing myself. But that night I grabbed my .40 cal out of the drawer, I put it in my head, and I was done. I was like, what's the point? Everybody, every single doctor that I talked to told me, find new hobbies. You've got a new life ahead of you. Anything you've done your whole life, it's over. Not one person gave me hope. And that night it all manifested. And I had my finger on the trigger, and I was literally about 2 seconds from pulling it. My girlfriend rushed in and yanked it out of my hand. Adrian Gagliardi saved my life. For me, it was a lot of my own personal research, trying to figure out how do we interrupt this pain inflammation cycle, and that's one of the hardest things I think it is for doctors to diagnose and treat, is how do we stop inflammation, which leads to pain, and how do we stop pain without leading to more inflammation. It's a pretty vicious cycle, and I think definitely a challenge. So figuring out how to achieve this on my own without relying on narcotics or muscle relaxers really led me to a couple years of reading and research and trying to figure out what would work for my body. It's always been part of my DNA just to go see beautiful places and go experience different things. And suddenly I realized I'm not going to work. I'm going to take 1 year off when I got out of the military. I'm going to focus on fixing my back as much as I can. That's all I'm going to do. So in April of 2012, I started on the southern terminus of the Appalachian Trail in Georgia at Springer Mountain, and I started walking north. I'll never forget the first day I made it 8 miles in. And I was really proud of myself, which is really funny because you're talking to a guy who used to run 8 miles in under an hour. And it just went downhill from there. And the next few days, I'm just kind of making a few miles a day just because, I got backs hurting, legs hurting, feet are hurting, just the whole 9 yards. And I'm like, oh man, this might take a while to get to Maine. So day by day, as I'm hiking the Appalachian Trail, I was getting to get a little bit farther at a time, and started getting pretty pumped up. Finally for the first time, I'm like, all right, I might be able to do something. I'll never forget the first day that I did 26 miles. I did a marathon in one day, hiking. And I'm just trucking along at a kind of a 4 mile an hour pace, and I'm like, oh man, I'm actually moving again. This is incredible. They told me screw you, you're not gonna be able to do anything like this. So to go out there and have that ability again was pretty mind blowing for me. It was actually pretty emotional. September 2012 was the first day that I went back into a gym and actually lifted weights, something that everybody told me was impossible. I'll never forget that first day I got on a flat bench and put a 25 in each side, and that was as much as I could do for like 6 reps. You want to talk about an ego check? You know, you're a grown man, especially a guy who used to bench like, you know, I don't know what it was, 300s. Yeah, I was used to repping 300s. And suddenly I'm doing 95 pounds. Let me tell you this, it's really easy to quit at that point. It's really easy to find an excuse. You go, you know what? I'm just gonna go home now. This is embarrassing. And I grabbed like little 10-pound dumbbells, and I grabbed that. And no lie, I was doing body pump with a bunch of gray hairs. I'm in there with a plastic bar and these little plastic dumbbell things, you know, like weights. And I'm sitting there and I'm doing all this stuff with, you know, basically 60-year-olds. And they're cheering me on, which is cool, man. And they get to see that I was hurting. They knew I was in pain. They knew that something had obviously happened to me because, I mean, I was skinny, I was out of shape, you know. And that's where it all started, body pump. From that point on, I made sure that every day I go to the gym, every day. And if I miss it, I feel it in my back. You know, I currently have 2 ribs out, my top left one and my, I think about 4 or 5 down the right side. It's fun to breathe right now.
These are the kind of things that a lot of people would just break over. Dan's like, well, I can't feel my left foot. And then he'll be like, well, I'm still gonna go work out. I'm still going to the gym. You know, I'm just gonna push through it. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to watch. It makes my excuses a lot less valid.
I gotta tell you, my girlfriend Angie has been an amazing inspirational source. She's kind of a badass. I mean, this girl's got over 1,000 skydives and used to race street bikes, you know, so we've got that kind of compatible adrenaline junkie side of us where we both like to push the envelope a little bit.
I have been told I am relentless and stubborn, and I have met my equal in both departments. He might even have me beat.
Having somebody like that, knowing they have my back, knowing that they're gonna push me forwards, knowing that that honestly, like, she makes me want to be a better person. It sounds so cliche, but it's absolutely true, and I've never met somebody in my life like that.
The fact that not only is he off of all the medications and painkillers and walking without assistance, he's developed strength.
It's inspiring for me because I'm not able to make excuses around him. You know, I just got to be feet and try to keep up with that guy. The guy that's broken and can't get out of bed some days, I got to keep up with. So it's pretty cool.
One of the worst things you can ever do is feel sorry for yourself. You'll just end up in a black pit of despair and you will not climb out of it. And God knows I spent enough time doing that. If you want to help yourself, change your mind. Find a direction, set a goal, draw a line in the sand, and walk until you cross that line, then draw another one. And keep moving forwards. I hope out of this that there's at least one veteran out there who's struggling with either transitioning from a war mindset or who's struggling with depression, PTSD, suicidal thoughts. I hope just one of them will see this. Pick up your phone and call one of your brothers. I don't think there's anything more powerful on the planet that you can do for any of those guys that you deployed with. I don't think there's anything better that'll make you feel good here and here than telling those guys how you feel, because those guys, we're not good at that. We're horrible at it. But you know what? Make it a point to do it. Call one of your brothers today.